Welcome back, 3D students. In this video, we're going to put lights in our scene. So let's go to the front viewport, and you should be in wireframe. If you're not, come up here to your display settings and make sure you have wireframe override checked. And then let's go to the Create tab, and this time we're going to select Lights. And remember, we always switch to Arnold lights. And we're going to click this button right here. Now we need to make sure this says quad light, and then we're going to simply click and drag from above and over to one side and put that target right in the center of our scene, and then click the Modify tab. Now let's switch to the top view for a second so we can see something more clearly. Zoom out so we can see that light. Now, that light, if we zoom way in on it, you can see it has a square around it. That square is what emits the light. So the size of that square matters relative to the rest of the scene. So let's, and the size setting is right here, quad X, quad Y. So under quad X, let's click and drag until we see that rectangle get about like that. And then under quad Y, let's do the same. And we get something that looks about like that. So it'll be like a light panel. And then from the top view, let's take that and move it in front of our sword. Kind of like that, in front and off to one side. And then let's go back to the front view by pushing F on the keyboard. And let's take that light and move it down. People who work with lighting in photography and in the theater would call this the key light. This is going to be our main light. So let's go back to the perspective view by pushing P on our keyboard. And if you don't see default shading, make sure you come over here and make sure default shading is turned on. And then we want to see what effect this light is having in our scene, and we could just push F9 and render it. We won't see it here. But we can also turn on rendering in our viewport. If we come up here to our viewport settings and click where it says standard, these are the lighting settings here. We can just turn on active shade using Arnold, and that renders in our viewport, like so. Now over here in the Scene Explorer, if this is closed like this, open it up so you can see all the objects in there. This thing has two different views, by the way. Right now I'm in the layers view. If I switch to the hierarchy view, that looks more like what you have here, what you should have. So I'm going to select my light over here because I want to access its settings, right? But I don't want to change viewports when I do. So in the light settings we have two things, intensity and exposure. They both do kind of the same thing, but let's click intensity and drag that up. And you can see this, ooh, it takes a little while to catch up, I guess. And again, so this will be our main light. We can also play with the exposure. We get that light to look something like that. And then we can also add some color to that light. Sometimes people like to do that. I'm going to come in here and make this one kind of an orange color. Maybe not quite that orange. Now, one of the things the key light does for us is it creates dramatic shadows on our subject, like here and here and here. And we want those shadows, but we don't want them to be too dark. So we need another light. So let's hit F on our keyboard. And the other light is going to be called the fill light because it's going to fill in the shadows. So with your key light selected, and by the way, let's go ahead and name this light key. We have it selected. Let's come over here and name it key light. Let's go ahead and take this light, hold down Shift, and make a copy over to the other side. Just like that, and click copy. And let's rename this one fill light. Now the fill light shouldn't be as bright as the key light. It's meant to fill in the shadows but not eliminate them or create new ones. So let's go back to the perspective view, by pushing P on the keyboard. And let's come over here to our Scene Explorer and select the fill light. Scroll down. I'm going to make the fill light another color, maybe kind of a blue color. And let's adjust the fill light so it leaves us with the shadows and mixes the color, but it doesn't totally fill in the shadows. Something kind of like that. And that is the standard studio lighting setup with a key light and a fill light. Now we can continue to adjust these to get different looks. I can dial down the intensity and the exposure of my fill light if I want to get more of a mix. But I'll leave that up to you. Okay, in the next video, we're going to continue to flesh this scene out. We're going to add materials to our scene, and I want you to go ahead and render this in your Arnold render view. And I want you to add a render like this to your portfolio with no materials on it, but with lighting. And I'll see you in the next video.